The massive halls of the Galactic Council stretched far beyond what most beings could see. Ambassador Krell stood at the center podium, his scaled hands gripping the edge as he looked out at the 12 species gathered before him. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in their specialized seating areas, each designed for their unique physiological needs. The air hummed with translation devices working to convert his words into dozens of different languages. "Fellow council members," Krell began, his voice carrying the weight of urgency. "I stand before you today to deliver a warning that may save countless lives across our galaxy. We have discovered a new species on the third planet of a yellow star system. They call themselves humans, and their world is Earth." A murmur rippled through the assembly. New species were always cause for interest, especially those that had achieved space travel. The discovery meant potential new trade partners, new resources, and possibly new additions to the galactic community. "These humans have just developed faster than light travel," Krell continued. "Our scouts report that they have begun exploring beyond their home system. But this is not a standard first contact situation. This species presents a danger unlike anything we have encountered before." Commander Thaxis of the Zephyrian Empire shifted in his fluid-filled chamber. His tentacles writhed with what other species had learned to recognize as amusement. The Zephyrians had conquered 47 worlds in the past century alone. They had yet to encounter a species that posed any real threat to their advanced technology and superior numbers. "Ambassador Krell," Thaxis spoke through his translator, his voice bubbling with condescension, "surely you exaggerate. We have dealt with aggressive species before. What could possibly make these humans so dangerous?" Krell activated the holographic display above the podium. Images of Earth appeared, showing vast oceans, massive continents, and swirling storm systems that dwarfed anything seen on civilized worlds. "Their planet is what we classify as a deathworld. The gravity is nearly twice what most of our species consider comfortable. The atmospheric pressure would crush a Vorthak within minutes. Storms rage across the surface with winds that could tear apart our standard structures." The images shifted to show various Earth creatures, massive predators with razor-sharp teeth, tiny organisms that could kill with poison, and plants that could digest living flesh. Every continent on this world contains thousands of species that could kill the average galactic citizen. Yet humans not only survive here, they thrive. A delegate from the peaceful Altarian Federation spoke up. "Perhaps they are simply well adapted to their harsh environment. Many species develop resistance to their local conditions." "That is what we initially thought," Krell replied, "but our analysis goes much deeper." The display changed to show human settlements in various environments. Cities in frozen wastelands where the temperature would freeze most alien blood. Colonies in deserts where the heat would cook a Zephyrian in their own fluids. Underwater cities where the pressure alone would be fatal to visiting species. Humans live in every environment their planet offers. They have spread to every continent, every climate zone, and even beneath their oceans. No other species in our records has achieved such complete planetary dominance. Commander Thaxis dismissed the images with a wave of his tentacles. "Environmental adaptation is hardly unusual. What of their technology? Their military capabilities?" Krell's expression darkened. "Their military history is perhaps the most disturbing aspect of their civilization. In the past century alone, they have engaged in 2 global conflicts that resulted in the deaths of over 70 million of their own kind. They have developed weapons capable of destroying entire cities and have used them against each other." The council chamber fell silent. Even the most aggressive species present rarely engaged in warfare that resulted in such massive casualties among their own people. "They have a concept called mutually assured destruction," Krell continued. "They built enough weapons to destroy their entire planet several times over, pointed them at each other, and somehow used this as a method to maintain peace. The psychological profile required for such behavior is beyond our understanding." Representative Zara from the Crystalline Collective spoke with the ringing tone of her species. "If they are so violent toward each other, perhaps they could be easily divided and conquered." "That was our initial assessment," Krell admitted. "However, our scouts observed something remarkable. Despite their internal conflicts, when faced with external threats, humans display an unprecedented ability to unite. They have something they call species loyalty that overrides almost all other considerations." The holographic display showed human military exercises. Soldiers moving through environments that would incapacitate most alien species, carrying equipment loads that exceeded the physical capabilities of stronger races. Their military training involves deliberate exposure to conditions designed to break their minds and bodies. They call it building character. What we call torture, they consider education. Commander Thaxis had heard enough. He rose from his chamber, his massive form towering over the other delegates. Ambassador Krell, with respect, you are allowing fear to cloud your judgment. Yes, these humans sound formidable for a primitive species, but they have barely achieved interstellar travel. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs. Our fleets could pacify their world in a matter of days. Several other delegates voiced agreement. The Mordak Confederation representative particularly supported the idea of bringing humans under civilized control. Their aggressive nature could be useful for dangerous mining operations on hostile worlds. Krell tried one more time. Please consider the evidence carefully. Humans have survived multiple extinction events on their world. They have adapted to challenges that would destroy our civilizations. Their capacity for innovation under pressure exceeds anything in our databases. Innovation under pressure, Thaxis repeated mockingly. How quaint. Our pressure will be overwhelming and immediate. These humans will surrender or face annihilation. The vote was called. Despite Krell's passionate warnings and detailed evidence, the Council decided to ignore the threat assessment. The Zephyrian Empire, backed by the Mordak Confederation and 3 smaller aggressive species, was granted permission to launch a pacification mission. Krell watched in dismay as the decision was made. He had presented clear evidence of human danger, but the Council's arrogance and overconfidence had blinded them to the threat. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, already making plans for the conquest of Earth, Krell remained at the podium. He thought about the human military motto his scouts had translated: adapt, improvise, overcome. The galaxy was about to learn what those words really meant. 3 days later, the Zephyrian invasion fleet departed for Earth. Commander Thaxis personally oversaw the preparation of 200 warships, confident that such force would be more than sufficient to bring the primitive humans to heel. The fleet contained enough firepower to glass continents and enough ground forces to occupy every major human settlement. As the ships entered hyperspace, their crews were already celebrating their anticipated victory. They spoke of the wealth that would flow from Earth's resources and the useful slaves they would acquire. None of them had bothered to read Krell's full report. If they had, they might have learned about human history in more detail. They might have discovered that humans had a saying, "Never underestimate your enemy." They might have realized that a species capable of surviving on a death world for millions of years had developed capabilities that peaceful galactic civilizations could never imagine. But they did not read the report. They dismissed the warnings, and now they were about to discover why Ambassador Krell had been so terrified. The galaxy was about to meet humanity. Captain Jake Morrison checked his instruments one more time as the UES Pathfinder drifted silently through the asteroid belt near Jupiter. 3 months had passed since the first alien signals were detected at the edge of the solar system, and Earth's defense forces had been working around the clock to prepare for whatever was coming. The governments of Earth had finally stopped arguing about territorial disputes and trade agreements when faced with the reality that something from the stars was heading their way by contact bearing. 27 Mark 8, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster from her sensor station. Multiple ships, unknown configuration. They're big, Captain. Jake studied the readings on his screen. 12 massive vessels had emerged from hyperspace near Europa, their hulls gleaming with technology that human science barely understood. The ships were easily 10 times larger than anything in Earth's fleet, bristling with weapon systems that registered on every threat detector the Pathfinder carried. "Get me a direct line to Luna Base," Jake ordered. "General Rodriguez needs to see this." On Luna Base, General Pete Rodriguez was already coordinating with defense installations across the solar system. The aliens had arrived exactly where Earth's deep space monitoring stations had predicted, but their numbers were larger than expected. 200 ships now filled the screens in the command center, arranged in attack formations that left no doubt about their intentions. "Dr. Chang, what's your assessment?" Rodriguez asked the woman standing next to him. Dr. Lisa Chang had been studying the alien communications since their first transmissions were intercepted. "They're not here to talk," Lisa replied grimly. Their language patterns suggest complete confidence in their superiority. They've sent what amounts to a surrender demand, expecting us to submit without resistance. The main screen flickered as the alien fleet commander appeared. Commander Thaxis filled the display, his tentacled form writhing in what human observers had learned was either amusement or contempt. His translator converted his bubbling speech into clear English. "Primitive humans of the third planet," Thaxis announced. "I am Commander Thaxis of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been selected for pacification and integration into our galactic civilization. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick. Resist and we will make examples of your cities." General Rodriguez stepped forward. "This is General Rodriguez of Earth Defense Command. We have not asked for integration into your empire. Leave our system immediately or face the consequences." Thaxis's tentacles writhed more violently, clearly indicating amusement. "Consequences? From a species that has barely left its birth world? You will learn the meaning of superior technology." The communication ended and the alien fleet began moving toward Earth's inner system. Their ships accelerated at rates that should have crushed any living crew. But the aliens seemed unaffected by forces that would kill most life forms. Jake Morrison watched the enemy advance from his position near the asteroid belt. His orders were simple: observe and report enemy capabilities, then engage if necessary. The Pathfinder was one of Earth's newest ships, built with experimental technology that human engineers had been developing for decades in secret. Most aliens assumed humans had only recently achieved spaceflight, but Earth's military had been preparing for interstellar conflict since the first radio telescopes detected artificial signals from distant stars. "They're coming fast," Amy reported. "Estimated arrival at Mars orbit in 6 hours. Signal the fleet," Jake ordered. "Begin pattern Omega." Across the solar system, human ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields behind moons and in the shadows of planets suddenly became active. Earth had built far more vessels than any alien scout had detected, using construction facilities hidden in deep space and on the far side of various celestial bodies. The Zephyrians had expected to face perhaps a dozen primitive ships. Instead, over 200 human vessels began moving to intercept them. The first engagement occurred near Mars. 3 Zephyrian cruisers encountered a squadron of human destroyers led by Captain Ben Walker. The aliens opened fire immediately, expecting their energy weapons to vaporize the primitive human ships on contact. Instead, they discovered that human engineers had developed something the galaxy had never seen: adaptive armor that actually grew stronger when exposed to energy weapons. "Their shields are useless," Walker reported to Luna Base. "Our kinetic rounds are punching right through." The Zephyrians had designed their defenses to stop energy weapons and guided missiles. They had never encountered a species that preferred to throw chunks of dense metal at extremely high velocities. Human railguns and mass drivers turned their advanced shields into expensive decorations. Commander Thaxis watched in disbelief as his cruisers took damage from weapons that should have been obsolete. "How are they penetrating our defenses?" he demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. "Sir, they're not using energy weapons at all. These are solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. Our shields were never designed to stop kinetic impacts of this magnitude." The situation grew worse as human fighters began swarming the larger alien ships. Zephyrian pilots discovered that humans could function in acceleration environments that would liquefy most galactic species. Human pilots pulled maneuvers that should have been impossible, their ships spinning and diving through space in patterns that defied conventional tactical wisdom. Dr. Lisa Chang monitored the battle from Luna Base, recording everything for analysis. "They're learning our capabilities," she told General Rodriguez. "But we're learning theirs too. The aliens tried to adapt their tactics, but humans proved frustratingly unpredictable. When Zephyrian ships attempted orbital bombardment of Earth's cities, they discovered that humans had built underground networks that could shelter entire populations. When they tried to land ground forces, they found that Earth's gravity was nearly crushing to their low-density physiology. Commander Maya Patel led the ground defense of Europe as alien troops attempted to establish a beachhead. The Zephyrians had expected to face primitive projectile weapons, but instead encountered humans using captured alien technology that had been reverse-engineered and improved within hours of first contact. "They adapt too quickly," reported a Zephyrian ground. Commander to his ship. Their engineers are modifying our own weapons to use against us. I request immediate evacuation. But evacuation was becoming difficult as human ships pressed their attack throughout the solar system. Captain Jake Morrison had led his squadron on a daring raid that captured 2 alien supply vessels, providing Earth scientists with intact examples of Zephyrian technology. "This is impossible," Thaxis muttered, as another of his ships exploded under human assault. "They were supposed to be primitive. How are they fighting us to a standstill?" His science officer provided the answer Thaxis did not want to hear. "Sir, our intelligence was wrong. These humans have been preparing for interstellar warfare for decades. Their entire industrial base is designed for military production. Every human settlement is a potential fortress, and every human civilian appears trained for combat operations." The battle raged for 18 hours before Thaxis made the decision that would haunt the Zephyrian Empire. He ordered a retreat to the edge of the solar system and sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council. "This is Commander Thaxis requesting immediate reinforcements." His transmission began. "The human threat has been severely underestimated. We are unable to achieve planetary pacification with current forces. The humans fight like creatures possessed, using tactics and weapons we have never encountered. They show no fear of death and appear to view warfare as a natural state of existence." As the Zephyrian fleet limped away from Earth, General Rodriguez surveyed the aftermath of humanity's first interstellar battle. They had lost 37 ships and over 2,000 personnel. But they had proven something important to the galaxy. Humans could fight. Dr. Lisa Chang finished her analysis of captured alien technology and presented her findings to the Defense Council. "They have advantages in energy systems and faster-than-light travel," she reported. "But their material science is centuries behind ours, and they have no concept of kinetic warfare. Most importantly, they seem psychologically incapable of accepting heavy casualties. They retreat when losses reach levels that humans would consider acceptable." Captain Jake Morrison docked his damaged ship at Luna Base and immediately began planning for the next engagement. The aliens would return with greater numbers and better preparation. But humans had learned something valuable too. Their enemies were not invincible. Earth had survived its first test, but everyone knew this was only the beginning. 6 months had passed since the first battle, and the Zephyrian Empire had returned with a vengeance. Commander Thaxis led a fleet 3 times larger than his original force, determined to crush the human resistance that had humiliated him before the entire galaxy. This time he brought ground troops specially equipped for high-gravity environments and weapons designed specifically to counter human kinetic defenses. The aliens had learned from their mistakes, but so had humanity. Captain Jake Morrison now commanded a much larger fleet of ships built with alien technology that human engineers had not only reverse-engineered but improved upon. Earth's industrial capacity had been converted entirely to military production, with factories on every continent working around the clock to build weapons and ships. The second battle for Earth began when Zephyrian forces broke through the outer system, defenses and established beachheads in major cities across 3 continents. New York, London, and Tokyo fell under alien occupation within the first week, their massive ships hovering over the urban centers like metallic thunderclouds. Commander Maya Patel found herself leading resistance operations in the ruins of Manhattan. The aliens had expected human civilians to flee in panic when faced with superior technology and overwhelming force. Instead, they discovered that every human settlement was prepared for guerrilla warfare on a scale that defied galactic understanding. "They're using the subway tunnels," reported Sergeant Dan Cooper to Maya as they moved through the underground networks beneath the city. "The aliens can't fit their equipment down there, and their sensors can't penetrate the metal and concrete." Maya studied the tactical display on her captured alien device. Human engineers had cracked the Zephyrian communication codes within days, allowing resistance cells to coordinate across the planet using the aliens' own networks. "What about the Central Park position?" "Lieutenant Kate Stevens has them pinned down with sniper fire," Dan replied. "Turns out their armor wasn't designed to stop high-velocity rifle rounds. They're taking casualties every time they try to move." The Zephyrians were learning that occupying human territory was very different from conquering it. Their troops, designed for low-gravity environments, struggled with Earth's crushing atmosphere and found themselves exhausted after only minutes of combat. Worse, the humans seemed to be everywhere at once, striking from sewers, rooftops, abandoned buildings, and underground tunnels that connected entire city blocks. Commander Thaxis reviewed casualty reports from his flagship with growing concern. His ground forces were losing soldiers faster than they could be replaced, and human attacks were becoming more sophisticated every day. "How are they coordinating so effectively?" he demanded from his tactical officer. "Sir, they appear to be using our own communication systems against us," came the uncomfortable reply. "They've somehow gained access to our encrypted channels and are intercepting our orders in real time." In a hidden bunker beneath Washington, D.C., Dr. Lisa Chang worked with a team of linguists and computer specialists to decode alien technology. The Zephyrians used quantum encryption that should have been impossible for humans to break, but they had underestimated humanity's talent for lateral thinking. "They're too logical," Lisa explained to General Rodriguez during one of their strategy sessions. "Their encryption assumes that attackers will follow conventional mathematical approaches, but we're using pattern recognition based on biological systems instead of pure mathematics." General Rodriguez studied the intelligence reports flowing in from resistance cells worldwide. "What about their supply lines?" "Captain Morrison's fleet has been hitting their cargo vessels," Lisa replied. "The aliens assumed they could resupply from their home systems, but our long-range strikes are making that increasingly difficult." Jake Morrison had indeed been busy. His ships now operated far beyond Earth's solar system, using captured Zephyrian technology to attack supply convoys and communication relays. The aliens had expected a defensive war confined to Earth's immediate vicinity. Instead, they found themselves fighting human raiders across dozens of star systems. "Target acquired," reported Lieutenant Mike Torres from the sensor station of Jake's flagship. "Zephyrian supply convoy, 6 ships, minimal escort." Jake smiled grimly. "Begin attack run. Remember, we want their cargo intact if possible." The human fleet descended on the alien convoy like wolves on sheep. Zephyrian escort vessels designed for fighting other energy weapon-equipped fleets found themselves helpless against human kinetic bombardment. Within minutes, 4 cargo ships had been captured and their alien crews taken prisoner. Back on Earth, the ground war continued with increasing desperation on the alien side. Maya Patel's resistance fighters had learned to use Earth's own environment as a weapon. When Zephyrian forces attempted to secure the Amazon basin, they encountered not only human guerrillas but poisonous insects, aggressive wildlife, and tropical diseases that their medical technology could not counter. "The planet itself seems to be fighting us," reported a Zephyrian field commander to his superiors. "Our troops are falling ill from local pathogens. The native animal life is more dangerous than our intelligence suggested, and the humans appear to be using these creatures as weapons." Commander Maya had indeed been training with local wildlife experts. Earth's dangerous ecosystem, which the aliens had viewed as a weakness of human civilization, became humanity's greatest asset. Poisonous snakes were released in alien barracks. Swarms of aggressive insects were guided toward Zephyrian positions. Even domestic animals had been trained to carry explosives into enemy installations. The psychological impact on alien forces was devastating. They had expected to fight against primitive technology and undisciplined troops. Instead, they faced an entire planet where every living thing seemed dedicated to their destruction. Trees dropped poisonous sap on their equipment. Rivers contained aggressive fish that attacked their water collection systems. Even the weather seemed to work against them as human meteorologists learned to predict and exploit storms that grounded alien aircraft. Dr. Lisa Chang's xenobiology team made another crucial discovery that changed the course of the war. "Their physiology is extremely vulnerable to certain Earth bacteria," she reported to the Defense Council. "We can develop biological weapons that are harmless to humans but deadly to Zephyrians." "Absolutely not," General Rodriguez replied firmly. "We're not starting a biological war. That crosses lines we don't cross." Lisa nodded, understanding the ethical implications. "But we can use this information defensively. We can predict which environments will be naturally hostile to them and channel their forces into those areas." The strategy worked perfectly. Alien ground forces found themselves constantly retreating from swamps, forests, and urban areas, where Earth's microbiology made their positions untenable. They were forced to concentrate in desert regions where human forces could surround and isolate them. Commander Thaxis faced the unthinkable reality that his second invasion was failing even more catastrophically than his first. His forces controlled less territory than when they had arrived, and human attacks were increasing in both frequency and effectiveness. Worst of all, intelligence reports suggested that humans were building even larger fleets using captured alien technology. "Sir, we've intercepted human communications," his intelligence officer reported. "They're referring to this as Phase 1 of their defensive operations. They appear to be preparing for much larger engagements." Thaxis stared at the tactical displays showing human forces across multiple star systems. These creatures had gone from defending their home world to launching offensive operations across the galaxy in less than a year. Their industrial capacity and technological adaptation exceeded anything in Galactic Council databases. "Prepare a message to the Council," Thaxis ordered reluctantly. "Request immediate support from all member species. The human threat is beyond our ability to contain alone." As the message went out across the galaxy, Maya Patel stood in the ruins of Times Square, looking up at the alien ships that still hovered over New York. But now those ships looked different. They no longer appeared invincible. Human anti-aircraft weapons had damaged their hulls, and smoke rose from several of their landing bays. "How much longer?" asked Sergeant Cooper. Maya checked her communication device, which now displayed intercepted Zephyrian tactical data alongside human resistance coordination. "Not long," she replied. "Captain Morrison's fleet will be back in system within 48 hours. And this time he's bringing friends." The underground war was about to become something much larger, and the galaxy was beginning to understand why Ambassador Krell had been so terrified of these strange creatures from the death world called Earth. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened under circumstances none of the delegates had ever imagined. 2 years had passed since the first Zephyrian fleet had departed for Earth, confident in their ability to pacify a primitive world. Now Commander Thaxis stood before the assembly, his tentacles drooping in defeat, requesting help from species he had previously dismissed as weak. Ambassador Krell watched from his position with grim satisfaction. His warnings had been ignored, and now the galaxy was paying the price. Reports flooded in daily of human ships appearing in star systems across the galaxy, not conquering but studying, learning, and occasionally striking at targets that supported the war effort against Earth. "The situation has escalated beyond our initial projections," Thaxis admitted to the assembled delegates. "The humans have proven capable of interstellar warfare on a scale that defies our understanding. They have captured and reverse-engineered our technology, improved upon our designs, and are now manufacturing weapons that exceed our own capabilities." Representative Zara of the Crystalline Collective spoke with the musical tone of her species. "You assured us this would be a simple pacification mission. How has a single world resisted the combined might of the Zephyrian Empire?" Thaxis activated the holographic display, showing tactical reports from the ongoing conflict. "The humans do not fight as individuals or even as nations. When faced with external threats, their entire species functions as a single military unit. Every human settlement from their home world to their outer colonies contributes to their war effort." The images showed human industrial facilities that had been converted to weapons production with frightening speed. Asteroid mining operations had become shipyards. Scientific research stations had become weapons development centers. Even civilian transport ships had been modified into combat vessels. "Their industrial capacity exceeds our projections by orders of magnitude," Thaxis continued. "They have built more warships in 2 years than most species produce in decades. And their ships are not copies of our designs. They have created entirely new weapon systems based on principles we do not understand." Commander Vex of the Mordak Confederation leaned forward in his armored exoskeleton. His species had supported the initial invasion, expecting to benefit from human slave labor. "What of their ground forces? Surely they cannot match our military training." "Their ground forces have proven even more problematic than their space fleet," Thaxis replied reluctantly. "Every human civilian appears to be trained for combat operations. Their children learn military tactics in their educational systems. Their elderly population possesses combat experience from previous conflicts. When we occupy their territories, we face resistance from every age group and social class." The display showed footage of human resistance operations that had shocked alien observers. Children as young as 10 years old were conducting reconnaissance missions. Elderly humans were building improvised explosives. Medical professionals were using their knowledge of alien physiology to develop non-lethal but incapacitating weapons. Ambassador Krell finally spoke. I tried to warn this council that humans were dangerous. Their capacity for organized violence exceeds anything in our database, but you dismissed my concerns as exaggeration. The situation has changed, interrupted Chancellor Keith of the Hegemony Alliance. 6 species have now committed fleets to contain the human threat. Surely combined galactic forces can overwhelm a single world. Thaxis manipulated the display to show recent battle reports. The Mordak Third Fleet encountered human forces near the Kepler system last month. 12 Mordak ships were destroyed. The humans lost 3 vessels. The Altarian Second Squadron was completely eliminated near Wolf 359. The humans captured 4 ships intact and allowed the crews to escape in life pods. They let the crews escape? Asked Representative Zara in surprise. The humans follow what they call rules of war, Thaxis explained. They distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. They treat prisoners according to specific protocols. They avoid targeting civilian populations even when it would provide military advantages. It is behavior that contradicts their reputation for violence. Dr. Lisa Chang's diplomatic broadcasts had been intercepted by every major galactic power. Her messages explained human history, philosophy, and the principles that guided their military actions. She had made it clear that humans could fight with restraint and honor, even while demonstrating devastating combat effectiveness. The Galactic Council faced a paradox they could not resolve. The humans were simultaneously the most dangerous military force they had encountered, and the most ethical in their conduct of warfare. Traditional galactic powers relied on overwhelming force and threats against civilian populations to achieve victory. Humans seemed capable of unlimited violence but chose to limit themselves by moral principles that other species found incomprehensible. What do they want? Asked the delegate from the Pacifist Union. What are their demands for ending this conflict? Thaxis displayed the most recent human communication, delivered by General Rodriguez himself. They demand recognition as a sovereign species with territorial rights. They want representation in galactic affairs proportional to their military and economic power. Most significantly, they want the right to defend other species from what they call aggressive expansion. The implications were staggering. Humans were not seeking to join galactic civilization as junior partners. They were demanding equal status and the authority to intervene in galactic conflicts. It was a complete reversal of the traditional order where established powers dictated terms to emerging species. Chancellor Keth stood, his cybernetic implants glowing with agitation. They are demanding the right to police galactic affairs? This is unacceptable. They must be contained. With what forces? Thaxis asked bitterly. Human fleets now operate in 17 star systems simultaneously. They have established supply bases using captured alien technology. Captain Morrison's task force destroyed our primary logistics hub last week. We cannot even maintain our existing operations, let alone expand them. The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. The combined galactic powers had started a war they could not win. Human military doctrine, industrial capacity, and technological adaptation had proven superior to everything the galaxy could deploy against them. Worse, humans were showing no signs of exhaustion or willingness to accept a negotiated settlement that left them in a subordinate position. Ambassador Krell spoke again. There is another factor this council must consider. Our intelligence suggests that humans are not fighting at their full capacity. They have been conducting what they call limited warfare, while maintaining most of their industrial base and population in non-combat roles. What are you saying? Demanded Chancellor Keith. I am saying that if we force them into what they call total war, their capacity for destruction will increase exponentially. The humans we are fighting now represent perhaps 10% of their actual military potential. The chamber fell silent as delegates absorbed this information. They had been fighting what humans considered a limited conflict, using only a fraction of their available resources. The implications for a full-scale galactic war were terrifying. Commander Thaxis activated one final display, showing human settlements throughout their solar system. Mars hosted millions of colonists. Asteroid habitats housed industrial workers. Even the moons of distant gas giants supported human populations. They have created a civilization that spans multiple worlds. Destroying Earth would not eliminate their species. It would only ensure that we face the full fury of their total military capacity. The vote was inevitable. 3 species withdrew from the anti-human coalition immediately. 4 others announced their intention to seek diplomatic solutions. Only the most aggressive powers remained committed to military action, and even they were beginning to doubt the wisdom of continued conflict. As delegates filed out to consult with their governments, Ambassador Krell remained in his seat. The galaxy had ignored his warnings and started a war with the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. Now they would learn whether humans could be as generous in victory as they had been ruthless in battle. The age of galactic dominance by established powers was ending, and none of them knew what would replace it. The massive space station Harmony 7 had been built in neutral space to serve as a meeting ground for species that could not safely visit each other's worlds. Now it hosted the most important diplomatic gathering in galactic history as human and alien representatives prepared to negotiate an end to the war that had reshaped the galaxy. General Pete Rodriguez stood at the observation deck, looking out at the assembled fleets that surrounded the station. Human ships floated alongside vessels from 12 different alien species, their weapons powered down but ready. 3 years of constant warfare had transformed humanity from an unknown species into the dominant military power in the galaxy. Dr. Lisa Chang joined him at the viewing port, carrying the final diplomatic proposals that would determine whether peace was possible. "The hardliners are making their last stand," she said quietly. "Chancellor Keith and his allies have brought their planet-killer weapon. They think one final show of force will make us surrender." Rodriguez studied the massive alien vessel that dwarfed everything else in the area. The weapon could destroy entire worlds, turning planets into cosmic debris. It was the ultimate expression of galactic military power, designed to end conflicts through the threat of total annihilation. "Do they understand that we detected their weapon 3 days ago?" Rodriguez asked. Lisa smiled grimly. "Captain Morrison's task force has been tracking it since it entered this sector. But I think they need to make their threat publicly before they can accept that it won't work." Inside the station's main conference chamber, Ambassador Krell watched as Chancellor Keith prepared to deliver what he believed would be humanity's final ultimatum. The Hegemony Alliance leader had convinced the remaining aggressive species that overwhelming force was the only language humans would understand. "People of Earth," Keth announced as the communication channels opened, "you have fought bravely, but this conflict must end. We have brought a weapon capable of destroying any world in your solar system. Surrender now and accept integration into galactic civilization as a protected species. Continue your resistance and watch your worlds burn." The chamber fell silent as delegates waited for the human response. Many expected panic or desperate bargaining. Instead, General Rodriguez appeared on the main display with an expression of calm confidence that unnerved even the most experienced diplomats. "Chancellor Keth," Rodriguez began, "we appreciate your concern for the welfare of our worlds. However, we have a different proposal." The main display shifted to show the space around Harmony 7. 6 human fleets had materialized from hyperspace, surrounding not just the space station, but every alien vessel in the area. The humans had demonstrated the ability to appear anywhere in the galaxy, with precision timing that exceeded anything in alien military doctrine. "Your planet killer is an impressive weapon," Rodriguez continued conversationally. "Our engineers have been studying the technical specifications since your construction teams began building it 8 months ago. We've identified 17 different methods for disabling it, 12 ways to capture it intact, and 3 approaches for turning it against targets of our choosing." Chancellor Keth's cybernetic implants flickered with shock. "Impossible. That weapon was built in the most secure shipyards in the galaxy." Captain Jake Morrison appeared on a secondary display, speaking from the bridge of his flagship. "Chancellor, we've had reconnaissance teams observing your shipyards for the past year. We know more about your weapons' capabilities than most of your own engineers. Would you like us to demonstrate by disabling your primary power coupling on Deck 7, Section 12? The threat was delivered with the same casual tone that humans might use to discuss the weather. There was no boasting or intimidation, just a simple statement of fact that made it all the more terrifying to the alien delegates. Dr. Lisa Chang stepped into the chamber, carrying herself with the quiet authority that came from representing a species that had proven its strength beyond all doubt. "The question is not whether we can destroy your fleets," she said to the assembled aliens. "The question is whether we can find a way to coexist that doesn't require us to do so. Commander Thaxis, representing what remained of the Zephyrian Empire, spoke with the voice of defeat. "What are your terms?" Lisa activated a holographic display showing a proposed galactic government structure. First, recognition of humanity as a major galactic power with voting rights proportional to our military and economic contributions. Second, establishment of mutual defense agreements that protect smaller species from aggressive expansion. Third, creation of joint exploration missions to investigate threats beyond our current galactic boundaries. The proposals were revolutionary. Instead of seeking dominance over other species, humans were offering partnership based on equality and mutual benefit. They wanted to transform galactic civilization from a collection of competing empires into a cooperative alliance. "You could simply conquer us all," observed Representative Zara of the Crystalline Collective. "Why offer negotiations?" General Rodriguez answered from his position at the observation deck. "Because conquest doesn't solve the real problems we face. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. There are other civilizations out there, some of which may make our current conflicts look insignificant. We need allies, not subjects." The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Humans had been using captured alien technology to explore far beyond the known boundaries of galactic space. They had discovered evidence of civilizations that posed potential threats to everyone in the chamber. Ambassador Krell stepped forward, his scaled features showing something that might have been relief. "You are offering to protect species that tried to destroy you?" Lisa nodded. "That's what civilized species do. They protect those who cannot protect themselves, even former enemies. It's the difference between civilization and conquest." The negotiations continued for 6 days as alien delegates consulted with their home governments and struggled to accept the new galactic reality. Some species embraced the human proposals immediately, recognizing the benefits of cooperation over conflict. Others required more convincing as their representatives witnessed demonstrations of human technological capabilities that exceeded their worst fears. Chancellor Keth made the final attempt at resistance, threatening to activate his planet-killer weapon rather than accept human terms. The response was swift and decisive. Captain Morrison's fleet disabled the massive weapon using methods that alien scientists could not even detect, let alone counter. The Chancellor's ship was left floating powerless while human engineers repaired its life support systems and escorted it to a safe distance. "We could have destroyed it," Jake Morrison explained to the shaken alien leader, "but we chose to preserve your crew instead. That choice defines who we are." The Treaty of Harmony 7 was signed 3 days later, establishing humanity as the guarantor of galactic peace and creating a new age of cooperation among species that had spent centuries fighting each other. Earth became the neutral meeting ground for interspecies diplomacy, its dangerous environment serving as a reminder that strength and restraint could coexist. Commander Maya Patel stood in the ruins of New York, watching as human and alien engineering teams worked together to rebuild the city. Former enemies now collaborated on projects that would benefit both species. The underground tunnels that had sheltered human resistance fighters were being converted into cultural exchange centers, where alien visitors could learn about human history and philosophy. Dr. Lisa Chang established the first joint human-alien research facility, where scientists from different species worked to unlock the secrets of faster-than-light travel, energy generation, and the mysterious signals from beyond the galaxy. The knowledge that had once been used to build weapons was now directed toward exploration and discovery. General Rodriguez received reports from human fleets now serving as peacekeepers throughout the galaxy, protecting trade routes and mediating disputes between species that had been enemies for generations. The same military capabilities that had won the war were now being used to prevent future conflicts. Ambassador Krell stood in the new embassy complex on Earth, serving as the first alien diplomatic representative to permanently reside on humanity's homeworld. He often thought about his original warning to the Galactic Council and wondered if any of them had truly understood what they were unleashing when they dismissed his concerns about human danger. Captain Jake Morrison led the first joint exploration, Mission Beyond the Galactic Rim. His crew a mixture of humans and aliens working together to investigate the unknown civilizations that waited in the darkness between galaxies. The same courage that had made humans formidable enemies now made them invaluable allies in facing the greater challenges that lay ahead. The galaxy had learned that Earth was indeed dangerous, but not in the way they had expected. The greatest danger humans posed was to the old order of conquest and domination. They had proven that strength without restraint was meaningless, and that true power came from the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. The age of human dominance had begun, but it looked nothing like the galactic empires that had come before.